Hello. It's David Chambers again here, and I'm back with another one of my mini episodes, my weekly mini episodes. I'm getting a lot of feedback from these and a lot of questions about what people want me to cover here on The Authentic Man. So today I'm going to be talking about fear, right? A little process that I use to move past my fears, because I think the number one thing that stops us in life, stops us from having the relationships we want, developing the careers that we want, having the excitement, joy, and passion, right, that we really want, is our fear. Fear is what gets in the way. And trust me, it happens to me too. Fear gets in the way of what I want to do sometimes, and I have to sit down with myself and follow these steps, follow these exact steps. So, step one, right? Step one is to see and acknowledge your fear, is to stop and go, oh yeah, I am experiencing fear, right? And I'm going to give you examples, right? Maybe your fear is inside of dating and it's around commitment, right? Maybe your fear is also around maybe anxiety or abandonment inside of relationship, right? Maybe your fear is going to the gym, that's your fear. Or maybe your fear is that you want to quit your job and start your own business, right? So, first thing is to acknowledge it, right? And even feel it. Just be okay with feeling it. Maybe it's a knot in your stomach. Maybe if you feel a tightness in your chest, whatever it is, yeah? Wherever it is. That's the first step, is just to acknowledge it. Just to acknowledge it and just say, yep, it's there. I am experiencing fear. Because a lot of the time we try and pretend we're not feeling it, or we pretend it's something else. Oh, no, it's not fear. I just don't want to do that thing. But actually, it's just fear, right? It's just fucking fear. So acknowledge it. One of the things that I like to do inside this acknowledgement is actually just to move a little bit. Maybe I'll stretch, maybe I'll walk around, move my body a little bit, because, it gets tight and it gets kind of locked in, right? So that's a bonus piece, right? To move and so forth. So the next step, second step, step 2 of the step 3 process, is to ask yourself, right? What would you really love, right? In relation to this thing, what would you really love? And don't ask yourself with limits on it, I only know this is possible, or, this and that. No, just ask yourself, what would you really love? If everything was possible, what would you really love? So in terms of, if, your fear was commitment, that might be, you might really love to be in a really loving, committed, accepting relationship, right? Maybe if your fear is around abandonment, right, is to be in a safe, caring, loving relationship, right? Or if your fear was around going to the gym, what you would love is to be fit and strong and healthy, right? Or even to be, competing in competitions. And the last one around, maybe quitting your job and starting your business. Maybe your fear was, quitting your job and starting your business. What you would really love is to be an incredibly successful business person, right? So if, you've got an example there of what they are, you see where we don't put, because often we might think, okay, I want to quit my fear is around quitting my job and start my business. And I just want to, I want a business that, just sustains me, right? You're keeping yourself small there because you're putting a limit of what you think is possible. So when you remove what's possible, is to be a wildly successful businessman. So you acknowledge what you would love, right? You'd acknowledge that. You just say, okay, that's what I'd really love. Because sometimes that's really hard for us just to say what it is we'd really want. Because once we say it, we feel compelled to do something, right? And that can be difficult because, we worry about failure and things like that. And the last step and the final step of the process is to take action in line with what you would love and what you would like to happen, right? And this is it. You acknowledge your fear, but you also realize, and the first step is acknowledging the fear, but you have to realize your fear, for much of it, to be honest, is a figment of your imagination. It's an assumption or a belief that is the only outcome, right? Things will go wrong. But actually, it's just in your head. Fear only exists in your mind, right? It doesn't really exist in reality. Fear doesn't exist in reality. Maybe the events that you fear exist in reality, right? In a future reality, when they don't really exist, right? Because the future hasn't happened yet, depending on your beliefs around time and space. But you haven't experienced them yet. So even that is just a figment of your imagination. And it's seeing that and then taking action in line with what you would love, right? What do you really want to happen? And take an action in line with that. It can be a small action, right? But it has to be an action. It can't just be more thinking. more thinking doesn't get you anywhere, right? More thinking just locks you in your mind of thinking, of overthinking, then locks you into overthinking, which is a big problem for a lot of people, right? So take an action, right? So for someone who is, their fear was commitment, but what they want is an amazing relationship, that might be to just say to someone, say to a friend, hey, look, you know what? I'd really love to be in a great relationship. And your friend might go, oh, wow, that's amazing to hear that. And you go, yeah, you know, I was afraid about commitment, but, you know, I realized what I really want is that, like deep intimacy and love. That's an action, right there. Another action could be to update your profile from being, hey, I'm just here for fun, to, you know, I'd like to meet someone on a serious level, right? That might be your action. Or if your fear is around you know, being anxious and so forth in towards a relationship, it might be to go, okay, I need to go and speak to a therapist or someone like that. That might be your action. Or if your fear was around going to gym, but what you would love is to be fit, healthy and strong, your action might be to find a PT. It might be to talk to your friend Bob or Brian or me and go, hey, I know you guys are like into working out and stuff and I want to get into shape. What should I do? Who should I speak to? That's an action, right? And then you know, it's an action. Or maybe if your fear was around opening your own business and quitting your job and you wanted to be a successful businessman, your action could be to write a business plan or, you know, open your business, you know, start the actual business, the legal entity of the business. That could be an action. Because when we start the ball rolling, we start taking action, our mind starts to kick into gear and starts saying, we're taking action. We're moving toward this. Cool. What else do we need to do after this, right? And obviously other fears are going to come up along the way. But if you keep repeating this process, right? Keep repeating this process, you're going to keep moving towards what you really love and what you really want. So it's just important to, you know, acknowledge that and keep going. Keep moving towards your goals. Keep moving towards the things you would love. Because otherwise we just get stuck in our fears and we don't take any action. We don't acknowledge what we really want, and then we don't get anywhere. We don't move towards what we'd want, and we just get stuck in our fears. And the truth is the world is littered, right, with people who got stuck in their fears and never progressed. And the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to be one of those people? Are you one of those people, right? Or do you want more from your life, right? Whether that's relationships, whether that's business, whether that's health, wealth, relationships, travel, whatever it may be. Would you rather be someone who got locked in their fear and didn't move anywhere and just stayed there, right? Or would you be one of those people who sits and goes, man, I'm so glad I got over myself. I got over my shit because I'm so happy about, you know, moving through that and creating the life I want. And just as another note is be really mindful of the story of, I don't really want that. Because a lot of the time I see that, I say a lot of the time, I think almost always for people is underneath there's a fear. I don't really want to, you know, get into shape. I don't really care about that. No, underneath there's a fear that, you know, maybe you won't be able to do it. Maybe you'll fail, or maybe you won't look good or whatever, right? It's just be really mindful of that, because there's things that we want to create, we want to have in our lives, like relationships. A lot of people go, I don't want a relationship in my life. Yes, you do. You're just scared. You're scared of commitment. You're scared of losing freedom. You're scared that no one will love you. Acknowledge your fears. Acknowledging your fears is not a negative thing. It's actually one of the most self-aware things you can do. Is one of the most mature things you can do, is to acknowledge your fears and then move towards the things you would love. So that is this week's mini episode. If you found this incredibly useful, you let me know. Send me a message. Send me a message on Instagram at @theauthenticman_ or at hello@theauthenticman.net. Send me a message. Tell me what action you took out of listening to this. What fear did you move past? You know, what love did you acknowledge that you really wanted, right? Let me know. Create some accountability. Let me know, and I'll follow up with you, you know, a few weeks later to see how you're getting with that goal. Because, you know, this is ultimately the most important things in our lives we're talking about here, you know, getting past those fears. So, yeah, hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you've enjoyed it, share it with someone. That's another thing that's really amazing for me, because I'm really committed to helping more and more people grow, more and more people realize that they can be more than they believe themselves to be. They're capable of so much more, whether that men, women, and whoever in between. And if this really resonates with you and there's some things that you would like help and coaching with, please reach out. Just reach out at the email address hello@theauthenticman.net, or hit me up on Instagram, as I said earlier, at theauthenticman_. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to talk and see how I can help you and aid you in your growth towards your future self that you desire. But until next week, I'll speak to you soon.